today, winter wonderland. Southern Albertans go from above average temperatures to rain and snow. Plus preparation for the demolition of a downtown eyesore. And the Hurricanes announced their new captains.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. It's been a soggy, chilly day in Lethbridge. A rainfall warning has been issued for the southern portion of the province. As much as 50 millimeters of rain has already fallen in parts of southern Alberta. Some of that has caused more flooding at Softball Valley in Lethbridge near the gun range. We're expecting to get about another 25 millimeters of rain into the evening and the overnight period. The city is reminding residents to keep drainage basins clear to avoid street flooding and to use their downspouts on their homes. And if all that rain wasn't bad enough, parts of southwestern Alberta got snow overnight. This is what Amber and Lundbreck woke up to this morning. Not only was Lundbreck area hit, but also the Pincher Creek area as well as Cowley. There was a lot of snow seen throughout the region. We thank everyone who sent pictures in for us. Dory's going to tell us just in a couple of minutes here about how much more snow or rain we can expect. Dory Rossiter, that was one damp, wet Wednesday, but sunny and dry tomorrow, right?
Yeah, it really is. And you know, ironically, yesterday when we were chatting, I was saying it looked like the most active weather as far as thunderstorm and lightning and everything was going to be between about 2:30 and 4:30 this morning. And boy, it was like, cue the lightning, because that's exactly when it started up. But all that tapered off. And as you mentioned, yeah, the rainfall continued. I've heard as high as 57 millimeters of rain in some areas. So we are expecting about another 20 millimeters tonight. The average amount of rain for September as a whole is 48 millimeters. I'll have more details coming up.
Okay, thank you, Dory. Well, a former Tabor resident faced jurors once again today. Jordan Van Berthusen is accused of assaulting two minors under the ages of 16 between 1995 and 2001. Jeanette Roche has been following the trial in Lethbridge Court and joins us from outside the courthouse. Jeanette.
Well, Jackie, it's day number 3 of this jury trial, and we've already heard from 5 witnesses, including the 2 very emotional testimonies from the 2 alleged victims who were just young children at the time the alleged abuse took place. Those witnesses are adults now, but because of a publication ban, we're unable to identify who they are or reveal any identifying factors about them. But from the courtroom, it was pretty evident that both witnesses were visibly shaken when recounting the details of their abuse. The one witness told jurors that taking the case to court is the beginning part of their healing process and said, quote, "I can't murder him, so I'm doing this instead," end quote. We're also being told that the accused may also take the stand, but that won't happen until at least tomorrow when this trial resumes. Jackie?
Okay, thank you, Jeanette. Meanwhile, American drug enforcement officers allege a cocaine shipment seized by authorities this week was destined for the southern Alberta community of Grassy Lake. The Drug Enforcement Administration has laid charges against 7 people. It's believed all but one of them were members of a Mexican Mennonite community that had direct ties to the Ware drug cartel. This isn't the first time law enforcement officials have uncovered a link between Mexican Mennonites in Canada and Mexico.
Cocaine isn't grown in Canada, it isn't manufactured here, and so it has to be imported into Canada.
In June of 2012, authorities charged 3 men with cocaine shipments that were destined for Canada. One of them was from Tabor, the other from Coaldale. Both had ties to Mexico, where the cocaine is believed to have originated. U.S. officials say the latest charges stem from a bust that included 11,000 pounds of marijuana, 30 kilograms of cocaine. They allege the cocaine was destined for Grassy Lake, but likely would have ended up on the streets of bigger cities, including Calgary and Edmonton. Meanwhile, 2 former Cranbrook residents have been arrested in connection to a drug bust in Spain involving 500 kilograms of cocaine. Details about the multi-million-dollar drug bust and police operation were revealed by Spain's Interior Ministry over the weekend, with a video of 4 suspects being arrested by police. According to the report, 2 of the 4 suspects have past connections to Cranbrook. The 2 suspects are Jason Cyrus Arkanstal, a former resident of Cranbrook and now a full-patch member of the Hells Angels, and Scott Smina, also a former resident. He is considered an associate of the Hells Angels. The 500 kilos of cocaine seized is believed to be worth millions of dollars. The owner of a southern Alberta rescue ranch has pleaded not guilty to charges under the Animal Protection Act. 81-year-old Roger Brinker is the owner of Big Julie's Rescue Ranch. He's facing 4 counts of causing or allowing an animal to be in distress and 4 counts of failing to provide adequate care. Brinker was charged in July, about 3 weeks after 4 of his cows were euthanized. The Alberta SPCA launched an investigation after receiving a public complaint. The trial is scheduled for December the 11th in Fort Macleod. Six people are dead and dozens injured. That's the toll after a horrifying bus-train crash in Ottawa this morning. Witnesses say the bus driver ignored the warning bells and the barrier arm and simply slammed into the passenger train. As Robert Fife reports, it's unclear as why.
The front of the double-decker bus ripped completely off. Details of what happened are still unclear. Witnesses on the bus say they were yelling at the driver to stop.
I see the train start coming and everyone's yelling, "Stop, stop," to the bus driver.
And everyone had shouted, "Stop, stop." And then as I looked up, the bus was coming into contact with the gate and the front of the bus, it like all impacted at once and everyone flew and there was just dust everywhere. And all I just remembered is I just grabbed my son and ran off the bus.
The bus driver pushes on the pedal to stop and all I see is, you know, the bar that goes down, I see it flying up. And then I realize that's the point where you can't go any further. And then all I see is just, I see that the train hit the bus.
Ambulances, fire trucks, and police vehicles flooded the scene as rescue crews worked on the mangled wreckage of the bus.
I've seen a few people dead, someone ripped in half. Just feels so bad. Honestly, I'm just a little shaken up right now.
On the scene, a spokesman for Ottawa Fire Services.
It is quite the scene. There's a lot of emergency personnel here, and the priority is to take care of any of the victims and people that will need care. Via Train 51 had left the Ottawa train station en route to Toronto when it crashed into the city bus at a level crossing at the peak of the morning commute.
We have deployed a team of several investigators out here. We have people from our engineering branch, we have people from our human factors, and we have numerous technical investigators, and we have more coming for support.
Prime Minister Stephen Harper tweeted his thoughts and prayers are with the families of those involved. The Ontario Premier offered condolences.
My heart goes out to all the individuals and families who are affected.
The train tracks in the area cross both a major city street and a transit line reserved for buses only. Via Rail has tweeted that there are only minor injuries among those aboard the train. Robert Fife, CTV News, Ottawa.
It took 19 hours, but the Costa Concordia cruise ship is now upright. The ship's dirty, rusty side. Clear evidence of where it lay partially submerged for nearly 2 years after it ran aground off the coast of Italy. Crews celebrated their success after the largest salvage operation in history. In spring, the ship will be towed away and scrapped. 32 people died when the cruise ship hit a reef in January of 2012. Among those on board was a Vulcan man, David Healy, who managed to escape on a lifeboat before the ship overturned. He has since been reimbursed for his failed cruise and has accepted a payout of 14,500 euros. Healy says he has been approached by lawyers and other passengers to be part of a class action lawsuit against the captain, but he has no desire to get involved in a long legal battle.
I waved that I will not sue them or anything. I feel bad for the people who went through a lot worse experience than I did, but for me it wasn't a terrible experience. It was just an experience, and I will move on and not worry about it, and we'll go on another cruise. I have no doubt in my mind that I'll go on another cruise.
Healy blames the crew for what happened, describing the staff as helpful but ill-trained. At the same time, he said no one ever thought that a ship that size would actually tip over. More financial help may be on the way for Alberta. Public Safety Minister Stephen Blaney says the federal government is looking at an interim payment of $500 million to help cover the cost of flood repairs. Under the Disaster Financial Assistance Program, Ottawa is required to cover up to 90% of disaster costs. Blaney isn't sure when an announcement will be made, but says these things take time.
Well, at this point in time, I can confirm that we are evaluating the possibility of moving forward with an interim payment of $500 million. But this is still being processed, and there has been no announcement made yet.
The province expects flood repair costs to top $5 billion. Work will be starting soon on the demolition of the long-standing cement structure known as the Atrium Building. The derelict site has been an eyesore in downtown Lethbridge for over 30 years. Crews are now setting up for demolition, which will likely begin sometime next week. Some equipment has already been moved on site. Pre-demolition work includes securing permits to close off alleyways, parking stalls, and part of 7th Street South. It's expected to take at least a month to clear the site. The project is being carried out by Vancouver-based EnviroCan Environmental Services at a cost of around $390,000. Now, on the election front, we can expect a couple of more candidates to announce they're running for City Council tomorrow, including former Global TV Lethbridge News Director Peter Days. An E. coli outbreak linked to cheese from a popular salmon arm farm may get bigger as health officials await more test results in British Columbia and here in Alberta. They're also investigating whether one person has died because of it.
It's relatively rare, but it's not, in this case, this outbreak is at 9 cases, I think, overall right now, and one of them died. That's a fairly high mortality rate for most E. coli. But we do have outbreaks where it seems, as I said, that the organism is more likely to produce the toxin, and then the mortality rate can be higher.
Gord Scuda has voluntarily recalled 14 different kinds of cheese because they may be infected with E. coli. All of them are raw milk cheeses, either sold at the farm in Salmon Arm, BC, or in retail stores from May until last week. The cheese might not look or smell spoiled, but if you have it in your fridge, you are urged to throw it away. Word that the provincial government has now wrapped up its investigation into allegations of a mouse biting a dementia patient's face at a Lethbridge care facility. On Monday, Friends of Medicare claimed a woman living in the dementia unit of St. Therese Villa had been bitten by mice. The owners, Covenant Health, denies those allegations. 3 employees have since been suspended with pay since the incident last week. We're expected to hear the results of the province's investigation sometime in the next 10 days. Well, with the cold weather just a few weeks away, the Lethbridge Emergency Shelter is reaching out to the community for help. The shelter is looking for used clothing to help keep up with demand for those who need to stay warm. All donations are welcome, but the shelter is looking specifically for a few items. Jeans, sweaters, long-sleeve shirts, and polos are all needed. You can help by dropping off items at the shelter at 802 2A Avenue North. Time now for a look at the day's markets. When we come back, though, Dory says more sun is on the way.